Let's take a look at the fantasy basketball waiver wire. Michael Bolton is going to be our shepherd. Mick?
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd, and I'm all non-delicious filler. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and you can find me on Blue Sky at joshloyd.bsky.social, on Twitter at redrock_bball, on TikTok at redrock_bball, and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Check out lockedondaily.com. You can find the best NBA newsletter for your favorite team 5 days a week in your inbox. All the news for your team at lockedondaily.com, and sign up for that newsletter. Also, do whatever you want to do on this one. You can thumb it, you can bang it, you can double bang it, you can triple bang it, you can quadruple bang it. You can tell your friends, you can share it, you can print out screenshots of the show, post them up on your wall, just cut out some of my faces if you like. Do that. That sounds like a good way to go as well. All that stuff is welcome. We're here to talk waiver wire. If you didn't see it, earlier on today, I did a trade reaction for the D'Angelo Russell, Dorian Finney-Smith trade. So all that is covered in the show earlier today. Also today, I'm recording this. Now, when I do these national days of the year, it's for my date because it's me. I'm doing me. Giggity. That's, well, that was last night as well. But it's December the 30th here, so it is Tiger Woods' birthday. So if you want to get ready to celebrate your Tiger Woods' birthday, a couple of ways you can do it. Drop the big dog meme. Big dog. Don't drink drive in your car and smash into a tree in your local neighborhood. That's probably not the best way to celebrate Woodsy's birthday. A couple of options, though. We're here to talk fantasy waiver wire. That's what we do. Again, go check out the video, though, on the D'Angelo Russell, Dorian Finney-Smith deal. Let's take a look at the most added players across fantasy basketball over the last, different time periods, depending on the site that I'm looking at. On Basketball Monster, we have a sliding scale where we can use hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. I push it out to 48 hours to check who's been added over that time frame. And the number one most added player there is Scotty Pippen Jr. Scotty Pippen, because Ja Morant is dealing with an AC joint injury. Marcus Smart is out multiple weeks with a finger injury. So it's Pippen time. Yep, we're rostering him everywhere. Clear, must add, must roster player. I don't know how long Morant's going to be out, but given it's Ja Morant, you're probably going to get 2 weeks, 3 weeks here. Smart's out for that time. It's going to be a lot of Scott. It's going to be, I guess, Luke Kennard playing backup point guard along with Des Bane. Maybe it's old mate Yuki that can get in there as well. Doubtfully he barely plays, but this is prime Scott Pippen time, so we get on that one. Second most added player is not Scott, but it's Scoot. Scooter Henderson. Sterling. He has been very, very good the last 2 games. Now, do I trust the NBA's worst coach, Chauncey Billups? No, I don't. And I hate when we do this, right? I hate when I do this, and we can get excited because you know that I was pretty big on Scoot. I never had him in the conversation to be ahead of Victor, not even close. But I did have him clearly number 2 and in tier 2 for dynasty leagues. And it hasn't worked out that way at all. Right? And yeah, it probably never works out that way. It looks to be a bad evaluation. But he's also been in the worst developmental position possible. He's been dicked around hard, like very hard in Portland. But then I go, look at these games. I go, yeah, okay. Kamara was out and Banton was out and Chauncey Billups will play those guys. And that hurts. And we still don't have Scoot starting. I've loved what I've seen. It's been a huge improvement. He's looked better. I don't mind if you want to grab him. I think, again, we love the get out ahead of it mantra. We love that. But again, does Banton come in and thieve 12 to 15 minutes? Does Kamara go back and play 30? Almost definitely. And that leaves our Scoots and our Avdias fighting for scraps off the bench. And that makes it hard. I don't know whether they'll trade Simons. They should. And that would obviously open up all of us for Scoot. It would open it all up. So do it now if you want. But just, again, be cautious. No Kamara, no Banton. Kamara only one of those games, but yeah. So do it, but it's okay. The most added player on Yahoo is Shake Milton. because they thought he was going to play today with the Nets playing, and of course he's not because he's on his way to LA. The second most added player on Yahoo today is Keon Johnson, which does make sense. Even though Cam Thomas is back, Johnson started over Thomas. There's a game on today. People were streaming him. I think he's a gigantic loser here in Brooklyn after the trade. It might open up for him later on. He was starting to come along, but Russell is there now, and Russell is going to play. Unless something weird happens, he's going to play. So Johnson's value is down. Thomas back. Russell in. Johnson flies off to insignificance for now. The most added players on Fantrax, which uses a 7-day reporting period. Number 1 is Quentin Grimes. Cool. Absolutely fine with adding him. Dinwiddie is my preference, but Grimes is fine. Dinwiddie started last game with Najee Marshall suspended. I don't know if they stick with Dinwiddie. Do they move to Grimes? Do they go back to Marshall? I think Jace Kidd will change things around. Of course, speaking of having car accidents after drinking too much alcohol, I think Jason Kidd will move things around and adjust that starting lineup quite a bit. And there was no Marshall, there was no PJ in that last game, so it couldn't adjust. But Grimes is fine. I would just prefer Dinwiddie. And the second most added player there is Yas Queen in Orlando, Trevelyan Queen, and that's probably going to work out okay for today because Mr. Black is out and there's no Paolo and there's no Franz, but Paolo's coming back. Like, he's back next week, probably, maybe, hopefully. And Queen is going to just be Queen. Like, he's a steals-ish type streamer and he's fine to stream for today. But long-term, I'm not really seeing it for him. Most drop players on Basketball Monster. Number 1 is Wendell Carter Jr. because he has, and I don't know what's happening in that Magic game at the moment, but he has transitioned, it seems, into a backup center, a 20-minute guy behind Goga Badadze, which is very, very interesting, very weird, especially after the contract extension they gave him. But he is a backup center now. The second most dropped player is Larry Nance. And Larry Nance was putting up good numbers while Onyeka Okongwu was out. Now, it was always likely to go back to nothing for Nance, but now he's suffered an injury, which they haven't announced the specifics of yet. I believe it's going to be a broken hand. That is my guess. The way that they phrased it was, it might even be something worse than that. But I'm going to guess hand surgery for 6 weeks. 4 to 6 weeks is my guess. I don't know, but that's my guess, so drop him. On Yahoo, Royce O'Neal's dropped. Cool. He hurt himself yesterday. The Suns have 2 games. Easy, Jack. And the second most dropped player is Dennis Schroeder because he's terrible at the moment. And this is a very, very common theme with Schroeder. He starts the season out strong on bad teams and he plays well and he shoots above his head and you go, wow, Dennis Schroeder. Yeah, we saw him. He's a FIBA MVP. He's also really, really good. And then everything comes back down. He takes fewer shots. The percentage drops. His assist rate, his involvement disappears. This alleged defensive wizard that apparently he is, which he isn't, but apparently he is, falls away and then he gets moved to a different team and he disappears completely. And that is what is happening now. He needs to be on a bad team with strong usage, with a lot of the ball, playing big minutes and shooting above his head. And those things aren't happening. See you later. The 2 most dropped players on Fantrax, Vasa Micic and Andre Drummond. Drummond obviously was there replacing Embiid. He's still bad anyway. And Micic is replacing LaMelo Ball. There are a lot of people panicking at the moment about LaMelo Ball because he's missing games and he had this soreness absence the other game. I know it's easy to complain and think, oh, what a terrible pick. I should have known he wasn't going to play. I don't believe that. He played like every game in a row and then suffered a calf strain and then missed this one game due to soreness. That is true. He's played like the same amount of games as Luka Doncic. He's played more games than Kevin Durant. He's played 2 fewer games than Giannis. He's played, I think, 4 fewer games than Wemby and Jokic. So while it's not great that he's missing this period of time, and maybe there are people who think he's just not going to be done from like January 30th onwards. I, again, don't believe that. But there's a panic rising on LaMelo. There's a panic rising. I'm not a part of it. But yeah, dropping Micic, absolutely, clearly the right way to go about it. We'll come back for more waiver wire stuff in a sec. Before I do that, though, today's episode is brought to you by Rocket RX. Yes, confidence in the bedroom is something that some of us lack at times. Yes, it's true, because, there are things that happen in our bodies as men that, honestly, it's out of your control. Don't blame yourself for it. You can take control in the bedroom with Rocket RX because they've got the solution. You can feel more prepared and ready to perform at your best with Rocket RX, making it simple and stress-free. How do they do that? Well, Rocket RX offers FDA-approved treatments for erectile dysfunction at a lower cost than branded alternatives. No more uncomfortable doctor visits or pharmacy trips if you don't want to. They can deliver it in a discreet, plain packaging straight to your door. You do an online consultation with a clinician, weird word, but that's okay, a real US clinical team, 100% online consultation to get yourself a prescription for these medications. Visit rocketrx.com to get started right now. That starting point only takes 2 minutes. But honestly, when you get the medication, maybe the end result doesn't just take 2 minutes. Right now, our listeners can get 40% off your first order when you use the code LOCKEDONNBA. That is rocketrx.com, code LOCKEDONNBA for 40% off your first order. I can't say why it won't do 2 minutes because it's not part of the read, but you heard me talk about it the other day. 40% off your first order. Terms and conditions applied. RocketRx is better sex made simple. I talked about this the other day because my experience as a pharmacist with these medications and the things they do, and we know there's always misinformation about erectile dysfunction stuff, which again, it just needs to be more clear. This is not a personal failing; it's just a medical thing that happens. So, I'll talk about it. This is a PSA for people. These medications, Viagra, Cialis, Tadalafil, Sildenafil, other medications in that family, they will help if you have trouble getting an erection. Yes, it doesn't just make you get an erection out of nowhere, right? It's still got to be the usual process, but there are other things too, right? It helps you, it shortens a refractory period. It reduces, to a degree, premature ejaculation. And these things don't get mentioned, but it's all part of that bedroom confidence stuff. All that stuff can be there. Medical knowledge, FTW, I think is something the kids say. Let's talk more waiver wire stuff now after that little sojourn. We're going to look at some must roster players. These are guys that over the next few weeks I think are going to be putting up top 100, top 120 type numbers at least, and probably should be rostered in all leagues. And I look at the numbers and they're not quite at the spot where I think they need to be. I'll put D'Angelo Russell on this list because on our advanced metric, he dropped down to 89% rostered. Very clearly, there's a reason he had been bad. He was playing backup minutes. He's been outside the top 150 for a big chunk of the season. He's been outside the top 200 for a period of the season. But now he goes to Brooklyn. I'm expecting that he starts and plays 30-ish minutes, and you just grab him, and we just see what happens. And I don't know if he gets traded again. It's possible. Also, not sure he does. Very certain he won't get bought out. Very certain of that. We roster him. Yves Missi. I have skepticism about it in the future. I'm not going to hide from that. I will say it all the time. And that could end up being wrong. But for now, we roster him. Andrew Nembhard also, I'm not really certain how that's going to go on an every night basis, but what I am impressed is the increased free throw rate from him. Shooting the ball really well as well. The free throw percentage is up. We roster him for now and make sure he's on a roster and then see where that goes. And the last one there is Scotty Pippen because I'm talking short time period here. I know I talked about him earlier, and just a quick mention, just make sure he's rostered. You'll notice I don't have Noah Clowney on that list. I think he probably is close to a must roster. His projections don't come out as his clear top 100 guy in the short term, so I think it's going to be a little bit wonky fitting D'Angelo and the return of Cam Thomas and Cam Johnson still there, and where does Simmons fit, and Day'Ron Sharpe and Nick Claxton, and he's still like a young player figuring stuff out. So the numbers in the short term for Clowney aren't going to blow you away. If you want to get out ahead of it and sit on a guy that's probably going to fall, be sort of at the back end of stuff and we see where it goes, do it, absolutely. But not like sitting this, clear role, let's fall on it and go awesome and we love all the stuff and all. That might happen, but also, maybe not. 6 names here that I'm including as droppable. What does that mean? Do you have to drop them? No. And if you do, if you think that that's what it means, or you think you have to go and move on from these guys, you're completely wrong. These are just guys that are on your roster and you go, I've got this player, but Yves Missi's available. D'Angelo Russell's available. Noah Clowney's available. Scotty Pippen's available. Do I actually need to hold on to this bloke? That's how you view this sort of list. I've got Onyeka Okongwu there. And I know. I just said Larry Nance is going to be out long-term, I believe, with a hand issue. So Okongwu's going to come back, and there'll be some of you who thought, they're going to run a 3-center rotation. Nance is going to get the role. Okongwu's going to do nothing. This is great for him now that Nance is hurt. No, I didn't think that was going to happen. Okongwu was playing the whole season as the backup to Capella without Nance. And he was fringe anyway. And now he's dealing with a knee issue. I just don't think you need to hold on to him. He will be back maybe next game. But I don't think you need to hold him. Daniel Gafford. Again, this is a long-term view. While Derek Lively is out, yes, you hold on to Gafford. But they had shown a very clear plan that it's 30 minutes Lively, 29 minutes Lively, 17 minutes, 18 minutes Gafford, and that is not enough, especially for points leagues. But while Lively is out, we hold him. Rui Hachimura, he's going to get hurt by the Dorian Finney-Smith edition. He's also bad, and you don't roster him. And you shouldn't have rostered him outside of a period earlier in the season where he played like 37 minutes a night and everything was going in. I think we're all across this, but he is rostered still in a lot of spots. But we're moving on from Rozier.
Get that garbage out of here.
The main reason is because his nickname makes no sense and scary doesn't rhyme with Terry, but that's okay. He's also bad at the moment. He's been dealing with a foot problem. They're not even playing in big minutes when Jimmy goes. And that's a really key thing with the Heat at the moment is like, we can talk about, wow, I'll stash Rozier waiting for a Butler trade, or I'll stash Huckers waiting for a Butler trade. And Butler's not playing now. Is Rozier and Huckers doing stuff that get you excited? The answer is very clearly no. But like we are seeing it without Butler. Plus, it's without Butler and without the return in a Butler trade if it does go down. It's the perfect spot where Rozier and Huckers should be cooking. And they're not. They have the occasional good game, but they're not. Bye. Budrick Hield and Dennis Schroeder, two Warriors players. Buddy is the easiest drop you'll ever see. The Buddy Hield cycle completed in a record time this season. Oh my God, this guy's so awesome. We've been calling out for him. Oh my God, he's terrible. Holy shit, get this guy off my team. That happened. Actually, that's not true. Because in Philadelphia, it happened almost as quickly after the trade last season. And it's happened in Golden State. It's going to take multiple injuries for Hield to be a 12-team league player. He will have the occasional hot streak, but you know my thoughts on it. I believe my thoughts on Buddy Hield have been justified so far this season, and I'll continue to have those thoughts. And the other one is Schroeder, who I just detailed earlier on as well. What are you doing? You don't need to hold him. You move on. See you later.
Get that garbage out of here.
I mean, you can. You can hold him. Absolutely you can. If what he's doing is enough. But also remember, it's not about who is better off the waiver wire. It's, is the conglomerate, is the total, is the accumulation of what I do with that spot through streaming, through multiple guys, through the hot streak guys, through trade acquisitions, is that a better use of my roster spot than what Dennis Schroeder is bringing? I think most of you will go, it probably is. I think that's how most people would view that. It's not just a one-for-one. It's not a one-for-one. Don't look at waiver wire guys that you add as like, yep, now I've got my new best friend, waiver wire player 7. He is my favorite, and I will love him forever. Don't do that. You just look at him as like, yeah, thanks. Let's see what happens, and then maybe tomorrow we do someone different. That's how I would view that, and that's how I do view that. Let's look at some guys that over the last week have just popped their head into the top 100, and we'll talk about whether it's relevant. Now, I never look at these guys who've only played one game and pop up there, but if they've played 2 games, it's worth talking about. And that's some of these players. And we'll talk about why they got there. Number 52 is Justin Champagnie. Well, he's played more than 2 games. He's played 3 games this week. One of them was outrageous. The other 2 were terrible. So what we saw is in that game, there was no Kyle Kuzma and there was no Jordan Poole. And Champagnie played 47 minutes in an overtime game, and every shot went in, he took a million shots. But we've also seen the evidence that when it's just Kuzma out, he doesn't do enough. They don't play him enough. There's George, there's Carrington, there's Brogdon, there's Poole, there's Kispert, there's Sarr, there's too many guys. So he's 52nd on the back of one game. I don't mind if you want to hold on to him, Champagnie. I don't mind. This is Justin Champagnie, passion pop in Washington. But if you are chasing that last game, and Kuzma looks like he might return for the next one. If you're chasing that last game, that scenario is not going to be there. You saw plenty of opportunity or plenty of situations where they were sort of healthy and he did nothing. Now, they could easily just move on from Kuzma, or they could sit other guys down like Brogdon, and Champagnie has a 27-minute night roll. Remember, they do have to convert his contract. But I think it's going to be iffy. Jordan Clarkson, 56th ranked player. He's got a really good schedule next week as well, the Jazz, but I do worry that the plantar fascia issue might just creep up at some point and he sits a game or 2. But he's been good, and with Keontae George out, that is why he's up there. Sam Merrill, 63rd. He had one big game, one mid-game, and that was fine. And Isaac Okoro's out, but there's Levert, there's bloody Strus returning, there's Wade. There's too many guys. I just wanted to, because sometimes you'll go and sort by rankings, and you'll see what happened in the last 7 days. Sam Merrill. Oh, yeah, I remember he hit 6 threes in a game. No, don't worry about it. Chris Boucher is 82nd. I'm also not worrying about that. Jakob Poeltl, I believe, is returning today for the Raptors, along with almost every player in the world apparently is coming back for them today. Walter's playing. Bruce Brown's available, I believe. Apart from Quickly, I think everyone else is back. So yeah, Boucher's had a couple little flashes, but don't worry too much. Same with Daniel Tice, who had a very good game in one of these games. And I would pay attention to this because I talked about Yves Missi earlier. Missi is questionable. He had a locker room trip in the last game. He is questionable for the next game. And Tice, what do you have, 11, 6 and 5 or 5 and 6 or something along those lines? Not exciting. Don't sell out for it, but professional callback to like the Dennis Schroeder discussion because, you know, we talk about like if you drop someone, what do you do with that roster spot? It's not a 1-for-1, but like maybe you'd get a 1-game stream out of Daniel Tice because they don't have anybody else. They don't even have a Zion or Ingram to play small, so Tice might have to play 27 minutes. Or Robinson Earl gets a little bump, and that's what we're talking about in that position. And the last guy there, ranked 88th over the last week, is Gershon Yabusele. Drummond missed some time. Embiid was injured in one of those games. Yabusele's had some okay moments, but again, I don't think those last four, Merrill, Boucher, Tyson, Yabusele, even though they're top 100 over the last week, I don't think there's any 10, 12, or probably even 14-team league use outside of the occasional spot start / spot stream scenario. We've got more waiver wire stuff to get into, and we'll do that right now with some injury replacement type players. I already spoke about Quentin Grimes. I'll just do the necessary discussion on Spencer Dinwiddie. Started last game. There was no Najee, so I don't know if he'll continue to start, but I'm not really sure that I care. He's going to have issues at night, on nights where he goes 0 of 8 and kills your field goals, but he's got an ability occasionally to get steals. He will get assists usually. I think he's a guy that's pretty close to must roster. Garrison Matthews I've got on this list because Dyson Daniels is dealing with an illness. Bogdan Bogdanovic has been in and out of lineups, and when Matthews plays 25 minutes, there's at least suitability there because he's gonna bomb threes. I don't feel super good about it, but when those guys are out, we're interested. While Banchero and Wagner are out, Tristan Da Silva has an opportunity. Now, last game, I'm not talking about Sunday's game because I haven't seen it. Da Silva was terrible, but he was good in the games before that. He's really a points and threes guy who had really solidified a nice floor, and then that floor fell away. But he's still at least somewhat interesting there. I've got Kelly Olynyk there because Jakob Poeltl was just ruled in, but I didn't know that at this point. And it's with Poeltl back, I want to really see what they do with Olynyk. Because what does that mean for Mobo? What does it mean for Olynyk? What does it mean for Boucher? They can't all play. So I think that Olynyk, while I did have him as an injury play while Poeltl was out, Poeltl's not out. So I don't think we're going to be holding Olynyk, and I would be okay with moving on. Marcus Smart, Santi Aldama both out multiple weeks. Yes, Jake LaRavia didn't do anything last game. I actually believe he is a really solid option here. There's no Vince Williams, there's no J.J. Jackson. Brandon Clark probably does a little bit more, but I am not quite there at LaRavia being a must-add player, but I think that he could get 27 a night here. He passes the ball as well with no Ja Morant, no Smart. He can move the ball around. I think we are... he's close to the top of my... let's have a look at this. The last name on the injury list is Peyton Watson. He's not starting with Aaron Gordon out. It's Russell Westbrook. And in points leagues, do not bother with that in 10 or 12. Don't add Peyton Watson in points leagues. In category leagues, there's something there. But again, instead of playing 32, 33, 35 minutes, he gets 24, 26, 28, which is definitely sort of streamable, but not someone to hold on to necessarily. They have a bit of a change there from Michael Malone in how he deals with the Gordon absence versus how he dealt with it the first time out. And the last group of 6 names that I want to talk about, because I know you want to talk about Thick Hogsman. I know you want to talk about Tobias Harris, and I know he's been bad. He has sucked. And my projection on him, I don't know why this stuff gets to me. By the way, Okongwu available to play today for the Hawks. So there we go. He's back. Nance is out. There you go. I don't know why stuff gets to me. Someone's like, I thought you told us he was guaranteed to be a top 50 player. Like, no, I literally never said that. Never. Top 60, yeah. Draft him in the 50s. I did that occasionally, but I did move him back down towards the end of draft season in the 60s or 70s. Fine. Never said guaranteed to be a top 50 player, and I would never suggest taking him there. But that stuff bothers me because I get plenty of stuff wrong. I don't want to be pegged on something for being wrong that I didn't say. Okay. But yeah, he sucks at the moment. Look, this is really bad from Harris. I will say this. Tobias Harris over the last 11 games has been absolutely putrid. Let's just say the last 5 games. And this is where people are reacting to it. So I can't with this guy. He's averaging 7, 3, and 2. And I agree. That's horrific. It's horrific. But he's shooting 29% during that time. 14% on threes. 37% on twos. For as bad as you might think he is, he's not that bad. Nobody is. Nobody is that bad. For the season, he's only shooting 43 from the field, and he shot 49, 50, 48 the last 2 seasons. He's shooting 32 from 3 for the season, where he's at 35, 39, 37 the last 3 seasons. I actually think he's going to be able to recover a lot of this stuff. The worry there, and the thing that I really got wrong with him, because I'm never going to project someone to be a 14% shooter. I'm not going to do that, clearly, is that his usage is just non-existent. He was at 21 usage last season alongside Embiid and Maxey. And now he plays alongside Malik Beasley. His usage is under 18. Sorry, what? And it's dropping and dropping and dropping. That's the bigger concern. Bro also can't rebound. That I don't get either. 4.1 rebounds per 36 over his last 5 games. He was at 7.2 last season, or this season. 6.9 the season before. Why doesn't he do that anymore? That's the concern. Where are your rebounds? Where's your usage? And I think the usage and rebounds, a lot of that's confidence. And I think if some shots go in, he'll be fine. I will bail on Tobias if he loses the starting spot. If they bench him and Asar Thompson starts, I will be out on Toby. But if they're going to start him with 32-minute upside and an ability for that shooting to at least become normal or average, then I am holding. But I actually totally get if you drop him, and I think it might be okay. I'm just not doing it. Jaime Jaquez is a name, like, I know I referenced it earlier with Rozier. People are like, man, we've got to grab him. Like, it is one big game, and Jimmy's going to get traded. But that's cool. Other players will come back, and Jimmy's out now, and is Jaquez, like, how excited are you? The answer is you're not. So, look, I'm not all that interested in adding him. Cam Whitmore was another name that people were very, very excited about. But, of course, it requires so many things to happen for Whitmore to have 10 or 12 or 14 team league value. And if Eason and Brooks are both playing, he could easily just get 0 minutes. So, no, we're not adding him. I think Malcolm Brogdon we do add, and we just add him everywhere. And he should be a must-roster guy, and then it will fall apart later. Very confident of that. But that's okay. We get the value now. John Kuminga, 2 last games, excellent. 34 minutes, 30-plus points, love that. He still has all the holes in his game, the shooting issues, the lack of defensive stats, the sometimes rebounding and assist deficiencies, the lack of threes, all that is still a problem. But if they're going to play him 34 minutes a night, then he's a must-roster player. If he plays 27, he isn't. But and we know what this team is. They are going to do something like this, and they will stick to their plan for the foreseeable future. So we'll see where that goes. But yes, we roster Kuminga now, absolutely, and then we adjust later on if we need to. Also, I haven't mentioned Trace Jackson-Davis in this show, but I'll use this example to do it now. Yes, we absolutely must roster Trace Jackson-Davis. Even though, again, that only might last for the foreseeable future. The last name I put here is Keon Ellis. Because again, and this is a general rule, and there will always be an exception. But when a coach is fired mid-season and an assistant takes over, everyone's like, man, what does this mean? We got to go grab Keon Ellis now. Mike Brown's gone. That means Malik Monk's moving to the bench. Man, we're just going to get this thing. What do we do now? Doug Christie and Keon Ellis time. Do we go and add him? And in general rules, nothing changes. It doesn't change, or at least it doesn't change immediately. Because the head coach is there, Michael Brown. He's doing his thing with a team of assistants, and they're all having pretty big input into this stuff. It is not Mike Brown saying, you're an idiot, you're an idiot, you're an idiot, you're an idiot. Particularly you're one of the dumbest blokes I've ever met. So whatever you say, I'm doing the exact opposite of. We good? Team on 1, 5, 3, whatever. No one does that. They all discuss it. They might have some differing opinions, but it's a team. The head coach is not micromanaging every single decision here. They all have little bits and pieces that they're doing. Now, I think Doug Christie might actually be a horrible coach. I think he might be Chauncey Billups level coaching. And I don't know what's going to happen with this team. But the crush of numbers is still there. Monk, Fox, Herter, and now Devin Carter's arriving. You do not need to add Keon Ellis. If something changes, then cool, we'll make a call on it then. But I didn't preemptively add him, and he played 13 minutes in the first game under Doug Christie. And that, legends, that's the end of a waiver wire show. So, go out there, celebrate Tiger Woods' birthday, get your 1 wood out. Tiger Woods has 2 different ways of getting his 1 wood out, but maybe do it in the golfing sense. Drive one straight down the guts. Again, Tiger Woods might do that differently as well. Celebrate his birthday. Celebrate yourself. Have a good day. Tell me, or not even tell me, just tell yourself, what are the good things that you're doing? Be positive. Lift others up. Lift yourself up. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.